Good morning, wanderers, and thanks for coming to watch this presentation. My name's Alex, and I, of course, am the Tolkien Library Director. So, to get right to it, we got two slices of lemon bread on the plate today. First, communication here at the library, namely interpersonal communication. This means techniques for talking to each other and techniques for talking to our lovely visitors in the community. Really important that we get to that. And the second is actually a bit more exciting because we're going to talk about marketing, specifically marketing for a new service that we just got funding for. So before we get to that one, let's go through the more prudent stuff. Let's start with communication, folks. This is really important because partially, we're a special library. We have a super eclectic audience, a lot of visitors who are professional, academic, non-professional, all sorts of people that want to take a look at Tolkien's works, Middle-earth related works, Lord of the Rings related works. We have scholars, professors of literature, professors of media and media history. We have literature students. We even have now some enterprising BAs in Tolkien studies. And in addition to that, we have the filmmakers and the game makers, the producers and the researchers who are searching Tolkien's writings for information and inspiration for their multimedia. And of course, we have what we call the Shire, which is the everyday visitors from here in the Bay Area and all over, the kids and adults, Lord of the Rings fans, the fantasy fans, the book fans generally. So obviously, instead of just trying to update everyone on how exactly to talk to every single type of person who visits us, it's better to just focus on techniques that we can utilize for all of them and for each other. Now, one of them is effective speaking. That's useful not just for guests, but between all of us. It's important that we are confident when we speak, that we're able to communicate resolutely when we're making plans with one another, when we're dividing up work. In terms of visitors, if an organization wants access to our, say, physical journal collection, but all the week's openings have been reserved, then we gotta ensure that we tell them very clearly, reasonably, with reasons given, whether they can come, whether they cannot come. And it's the exact same thing if a kid wants to climb the Balrog sculpture, right? You just got to lay out the rules clearly and effectively. Now, please, please, please feel free to talk to me or the associate directors if you think you need public speaking training. We'll actually be having a short seminar after work next Saturday. It's nothing embarrassing. We all just need to be reminded how to speak, and maybe with some practice and some new vocabulary, we'll kind of be able to better understand the ways to communicate effectively. The second communication standard is civility, which I know we're actually really good at. And it's a tough one because even if we master civility between personnel, it isn't always civil when it comes to talking to guests and visitors, especially if they're, the professional types. We all know that when Hollywood writers swing in looking for archive material, looking for Tolkien's notes, looking for art books, blah, 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 they're on that tight schedule, and they can be pretty uncouth. So I'll be the first to say that sometimes when someone like that barges into the library, breaks up the quiet, makes demands, asks for you to change archive schedules and meetings, pulling out their credentials, just kind of being rude. My lizard brain or my dragon brain, almost wants to match that energy. But we all know that that's not how an institution is run. So just kind of think of it this way. You're not being civil like as a gift to the uncivil person. You're being civil for literally everyone else, for the 99.9% of the visitors who are being wonderful and quiet and are just being lovely. You don't want to hurt their experience in any way, and you also don't want to ruin your own day. So what's important is that when you get these kinds of guests, that you talk it through with them, that you exude that kind of confidence and know-how, that you answer their questions. If nothing else, it makes them feel a little bad for raising such a fuss. I've seen it. I have a story there. Earlier in the year, a writer for Time magazine arrived looking to work on one of their special issues, which was like an anniversary for Tolkien's birthday. And he wanted copies of some of Tolkien's letters. And he was obviously on an extremely tight deadline. He was very agitated. He was like, all right, I need this and this and this. And so to reassure him, I just laid out the facts for him right away, not loudly, very helpfully and directly. I said, okay, we have those in the archives. Last time we opened them up for a correspondent, they were able to get what they needed within 4 hours. That's going to be our time frame. All right. And he just said, oh, all right. Yeah, that's fine. It was a situation where you know that the person, for whatever reason, just comes up looking to argue, looking to maybe intimidate or put on a show because they're just so revved up. And when you can articulate an answer like that, very directly, very calmly, it's fascinating. You can see the person's body language just kind of like deflate, you know? They're like, oh, okay, right, I get you. Might even apologize. So that in the end was that example is kind of a combination of both civility and effective speaking. You know, be polite, but take charge. Be polite without letting yourself be pushed around. Um, and more than anything, don't be antisocial because we're here to work with people. We love working with our archives and all our Tolkien things and our books and pages, but we're here to work with people. So now we get to our new service. The second part of this meeting, we have finally received funding for, both from the municipality and from the Tolkien Society. This service is, drum roll, called MEDC. That's MEDC, MEDC. I know it, if you're hearing of it for the first time, it does sound like a medical service plan, but it's not. MEDC stands for medical, oh gosh, now I can't say it. Middle Earth Digital Chronology. So for the uninitiated, what does that mean? Well, MEDC isn't necessarily, it's not like a new set of information, something new that we came up of. It's a new way to search for the information that we already have within our digital database. It features what we consider to be a fully explorable timeline of Middle Earth, beginning to end, ranging from its cosmological beginnings all the way through the stories of the first, second, third age, and even into that mysterious fourth age, of which there's very little information from Tolkien, but some information from other authors. It's the whole gamut. It's the way to look at things from the whole timeline. What it basically means is that every single work in Tolkien's universe is placed somewhere along this timeline, corresponding to the date in the timeline that it takes place. You know, so for example, chapters of the Silmarillion will inhabit the timeline from the literal beginning of time all the way through the first era, with one chapter in the second, one from the third. Works like Lord of the Rings will be, you know, obviously in the third era with parts from the appendices and other places. If one of Tolkien's letters mentions a character living at a certain date and time, you'll find that letter at that date on the timeline. And of course, for multimedia like video games and films, you'll find them in their appropriate settings, in their appropriate areas, but labeled and cross-referenced in a way that specifies, you know, that it comes from an outside Tolkien source. So everything will be color-coded for like whether it comes from Tolkien, whether it's secondary, whether it's just from media, that even unlicensed media, which we have as well. So how is this useful? Well, basically, imagine that you're one of our professional visitors writing a chapter of your new, you know, Rings of Power show, or developing a video game that will take place during a certain time period in Tolkien's world. If you want your show or game to have like werewolves, then all you have to do is type werewolf into MEDC, and it will highlight all the time periods in which werewolves appeared, both in Tolkien's text and outside. So in other words, this stuff is really important for people operating under the Tolkien license to avoid like those anachronisms that the Tolkien estate hates so much. You want to avoid including the Nazgul before they appear as the Nazgul. Or if there is something anachronistic that you really want, then at least it can be cross-referenced with other anachronistic pieces of media that will hopefully give you some like guidance and information. And of course, that's just for like the writers and the media people. For non-professionals using MEDC, It's just a lot of fun, and it's a very helpfully structured way of allowing a guest to find the texts that feature their favorite characters or places, whether it's Aragorn or the Eagles or whatever. Like here, we can go right here and do an example for Balrogs, which are always a favorite. And you can see there the color highlighting whether it's canonical or non-canonical. You can see the places in the timeline where it's mentioned. This is like super, super helpful for, an organized research jumping off point, um, and very visually stimulating. So that actually kind of brings us to marketing because we are super, super excited for this, and we want to use this kind of wide community to help us let this grow and make use of MedC. So for that, we're taking control of Reddit. We're using Reddit to advertise and to garner curiosity for MedC. Our library already does have a Reddit account, and we've had some success in posts before, especially any posts that relates to like digital stuff that people are able to access. So we're going to go full blow with more posts, introducing the technology, getting people excited, including some instructional videos. This will go to the Tolkien fans subreddit, to the Lord of the Rings subreddit, which has over 2 million subscribers, to the fantasy subreddit, the world building subreddit, and a few others. And in addition to explaining what MedC is, it's going to link to a trial version of MedC. That's the other part of this, is we are going to have an allowance where users on a guest account can actually make use of MedC from their computers to search any and all key terms from the Tolkien world, flowers, Numenor, Gollum, whatever, and then they'll be able to see how it works. They'll be able to get a chronological look at these things and these characters. Now, obviously, in this trial version, it won't let you actually access that information. You'll need your Tolkien library card, but this will at least like show people like what the system is capable of. And in addition to that, we're going to advertise the way that we've advertised all other additions to the library, which is with bookmarks. We love giving away free bookmarks at the libraries, and you can bet that the Middle Earth Digital chronology is going to be heavily advertised in some new bookmarks that we're reaching out. So between that and Reddit, we're really excited. So guys, thank you so much for sitting in on this meeting. We're going to keep practicing our communication, our speaking effectively. We're going to get people more hyped for MedC. And you guys just have a great rest of the day, and I'll talk to you later. And remember, not all who wander are lost. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.